finally found out why this isn't shifting into gear. This is the ratchet, the gear selector. When I spin it, nothing happens. It's supposed to actuate this drum right here, but it's not for some reason, so you can see the drum still spins. So these are the springs that are getting replaced. Shifter pawl springs, the ratchet mechanism. Just came in the mail. Part number, anybody needs it. Complete. Some stores want like $70 on eBay for this. But I went here. I got them in 2 days for like 28 bucks, the whole kit. So there you go. That was the paint stripper, then wire brush, and carb cleaner. Worked all right. So now I can slap it all back together, see if it shifts. It's all done. Back together. This is an FX drum, not an FL. So it's 1 forward and 3 back. It's gonna be jockey shift, so I'm gonna have a handle on here with a shift knob. Chrome cover on there. Let's see it work. So that's first gear right there. It's kind of hard to do this when it's off the bike, but there's neutral, second gear, third gear, fourth gear. Third gear, second gear, neutral, first gear. That's it. Ready to go back on the bike. Everything looked good in here though. I just briefly looked at all the teeth and all the gears. And I was moving it in and out of gear to, you know, try the different gears out. Everything looks good, but that's still coming apart. Got this thing apart. Gonna mask off the openings and then strip the not powder coat, well, yeah, the powder coat off. This is a later year ratchet top 4-speed. So instead of the loose bearings, it has those nice caged bearings. Pretty cool. Yeah, so anywhere that normally there would be the needle loose bearings, there's now cage bearings. So this is a 1978. I believe that's the first year they, started doing that. Another thing they did is right here, this smooth piece right here is normally a worm gear for the speedometer. And then your, your speedo drive gear would go into right here. That's another thing I noticed is that this is now capped from the factory. There's no hole here. They went over to the hub style speedometer. So this would go on your front axle on your front wheel. And it has a cable going out. The cable would go to your speedometer. So something I learned. Another thing is this thing's coated. Some sort of coating, so I'm gonna try to preserve that. I don't know if I'm gonna try to weld these on or if I'm just gonna build up new material. It's cast aluminum to top it off. My first time welding aluminum. So I might just fill that up, or I might try to place these on and put them back on. We'll see. So I gotta head to the weld shop right now and buy some aluminum filler rod. She's all done for the most part. Gonna clean her up a little bit more, not tonight. I scribed the line right there where the cover fits onto, so I'm gonna remove all that material outside of the scribe. Get it looking closer to stock. Paint the surface that I'm trying to make flat. While we let this dry, we'll go prep the rest of the stuff we need. Layout dye is dried. Let's see here. We have our new surface plate with our fresh sheet of sandpaper. And you can probably guess what I'm gonna do here. I'm gonna get this, flip it over, lay it on here, and then just figure eight a few times. Flip this back over, and if there's any low spots, it'll show because it'll stay red. The high spots will be sanded off with this, and that surface will only be as true as this surface. So it's not for every job, that's for sure, but it'll work. When I go to change this paper out to a new sheet, I'll also clean this surface up and then reapply Dicam. So that way I know when I'm creeping up on a pretty flat surface. So I'm done grounding this down. I'm gonna check my work with a straight edge across the surface at different angles. And I'm gonna use a filler gauge. This is 2/1000ths of an inch. Most factory service manuals call for 2 to 4/1000ths of an inch of flatness. That's usually enough for the gasket to seal. You can see right here, I can fit this guy in, but it's got slight drag. So that's probably 2 to 3/1000ths of an inch right there. I pay extra attention to all the red, because all the red means it's a low spot, you know. So I tested out with my 2/1000th gauge, and it fits under where all the low spots are, but I can't fit a 3/1000ths gauge under there. So that means I have a variation of 2/1000ths of an inch plus or minus across the surface. The red dye, like I said, are low spots. That should be enough for the gasket to make a seal with. Anything more than, I think, 4/1000ths of an inch, you're gonna start having leaks. So depending on the gasket you use, I'm gonna call that good. Kind of rebuild it. Transmission's done, back together, everything's new as far as the seals go, and lock washers. I threw in the rebuild kit. So now I'm aligning the shift forks, and these need to ride in the center of these two gears. Both shift forks, they control the shift dogs. So to do that, you have to use this alignment tool right here. You put the lid in neutral, slide these guys over, This is the alignment pin. Put it in the neutral slot on the shift drum. Lock it in. Do the same with the other one. And then you take this tool off and transfer it to the case. So I got the tool transferred on the transmission. And like I said, those dogs need to be in the center between those two gears. And you can tell that dog is offset to the left. So we want to get that over to the center. So we're going to shim that fork over so it's riding dead set in the center. From the last 4-speed build. Everything's shimmed. Ready to go. Counter shaft shimmed. Kind of hard to see, but that's pretty much perfectly in the center between the gears. Main shaft is also shimmed. Center between those two gears. So this thing should shift nice. That's it. All done. It's on the box of parts now. She's ready to bolt in, add fluid, and go. I'm gonna change this out to a rubber popsicle style. I use gasket sealant, gasket maker on top of a gasket. On the part of the case I ground it down. Hopefully that doesn't leak. Got the foot clutch release arm ready to go. That's next. Pull that apart sometime next couple weeks. Still stacking parts for it. Let's see here. Got most of the gaskets right here thanks to Jim Campbell, and then miscellaneous stuff for that.